Today is Tuesday. Surprise. I don't know if it's either a surprise for you, but it's definitely a surprise for me. Why is it a surprise? It just is a surprise because, it's good to have some surprises every once in a while in your life. So today, I opened up everything and I wanted to go through the goal setting process of what it is I want to achieve today and the rest of this week, as Thursday is going to be my last day, where it's either Thursday or Wednesday, because I got some new information and I might have to shift when I want to go up to Thursday, but I'm going to go see family for 4th of July, but I might have to go the day before so I don't get that traffic that's on a major holiday, because they're about an hour away, and it's a really good thing just to plan ahead like that. But I want to do this as often as possible, and I'm definitely going to bring my computer to family's house when I see them for like 5 days in a row or something. So what we have right now is today's Tuesday. Each day, the goal that I had that I created at the beginning of the week, which was from yesterday. Each day, learn and apply information from ideas from genetic algorithms. The code that I currently am using is from Daniel Schiffman on YouTube. His channel is called The Coding Train. He has his own website called The Nature of Code. I will try to include those informations right down below. If I don't, I do apologize, but again, thenatureofcode.com or natureofcode.com. And actually, let me make a note of it right now. There's no need for me to not make a note of that. So, YouTube comment section, YouTube description box, Daniel Schiffman's YouTube channel, and natureofcode.com. There we go. So I can give you all the information, all the access as possible, and being as transparent as possible. And the objective that I have today is to go for 2+ hours each day. Yesterday, and even a month ago, I wanted something that I've been wanting for even a year, is to work on 3 to 4 hours a day on the business that I so choose. I'm only doing a certain amount. I'm not able to go to 3 to 4. I'm pretty much stopping at 1 hour. But you know what? I know that that's where I want to go. Right now, I may only be doing 1 hour each day with programming specifically. But I want to work on 3 to 4 hours with programming, and then I could do another hour or so if possible, or 2, with some other videos that I'd like to create. And those videos have nothing to do with this video series, so I like to keep those two separate. I curse and cuss and make some weird things on that video series, but this is more family friendly and supposed to be just for more of the general audience. And by the way, for anybody who is new, this entire channel is dedicated for me to learn how to program, as programming for me, how I'm seeing it right now, is that it's like karate, it's like basketball, it's like underwater basket weaving. It's a mechanism for me to channel the energies that are happening inside of me and funnel them to a productive ends. I've had a lot of emotional reclusiveness within my childhood and adult life, and I believe through about 5 years understanding with the military, multiple people in the military, multiple people in the private sector, that I might be autistic. And that would explain a whole heck of a lot of my childhood. Whole heck of a lot. That would explain almost 100% of it, if not like 95%. And I found that doing this, verbalizing and articulating what's inside of here, and even being exposed, even though it might be silly to record what's going on inside of me, being foolish, childish, dumb, smart, sometimes brilliant, if I could pat myself on the back at some point, I'm very functional, because I'm able to articulate these things that are inside of me. But my behaviors have been, pardon my language, but piss poor. What I need to do is to not just think about it. With programming, I'm able to conceptualize it, but I'm not able to apply it. That when I start applying it, I go on like, oh, what's going on? But then when I apply it and it's not the fitting conception that I had, or this idea that I thought was correct, well, then every preconceived notion I had about what I thought was correct needs to be changed, and that process of change is very important. I think creating a habit of that each and every single day, as often as possible, as long as possible, as qualitative as possible, I think those those activities done 3 to 4 years and every single day for the rest of my life will produce dramatic, amazing results that I even extend to you. You may do it better than I. Go for it. Use it. Most people fail because they don't even try. I know, very stereotypical quote, but it's very true. Oh, I'm a better speaker than this person. You go to some place and a person is bombing each and every single one of their jokes at a comedy club. And yet, he's up there making money. He's the one doing it. He might be getting a lot of criticisms, but if he continues to do that and be in the public sphere and continue taking the criticism, tweaking and modifying each and every single activity that he's doing, in 3 to 5 years, you might look at him and it's like, well, whoa, he's amazing all of a sudden. No, because behind the scenes, he's been doing the work that people have not been seeing. So again, these activities each and every single day are the activities that need to be done that small, seemingly insignificant actions produce the results in your life. It's either from the book, The Compound Effect, or The One Thing. So I highly recommend to go reading those because they're very small, like less than 100 pages or 200 pages or so. Very small books, jam-packed with good principles or ideas that you can use for yourself. So, yeah. So the description is to tweak and modify the code from genetic algorithms, again, from Nature of Code, from Daniel Schiffman, The Coding Train, Chapter 9, to test what the code does. This is not, this information is for me on knowing how to use a genetic algorithm. And I've described each day, probably for the past 5 days when it comes to the video, probably in the last 7 days, my time. A genetic algorithm, very simply, there are 4 basic attributes that make up a genetic algorithm. They are generations, fitness, population, and mutation rate. Think of it like this. You have 100 people, a set size, a population size, and within this population of 100 people, they want to all create a business. So they all go out and do a little bit different things trying to make business work for them. Let's figure that out of the 100, 5 of them are successful, but there's one that makes more money than all the other ones. We are going to rate the value, we are going to give a number to each and every single person on how much money they made in profit. That is going to be our fitness score. And that fitness score, the one who made the most amount of fitness, the one who is better fit in this generation, or the one who made more profit, we're going to use what they did, their business model, for the next generation as the baseline for each and every single other person for these 100 people in 100 people within a generation. There's a set population within a generation. And these 100 people now all have a base model for how to do business that they will all go out and apply. The mutation rate is 1%. Let's go with 1%. So they all do their business model that is a little bit different by 1%, a little bit different. Tweak this, tweak that, tweak this, tweak that from the base model that was the highest, fittest one from the prior generation. Then you get 99 other tests, and then you see which one is the most successful, you see which one is the most fit, which one made the most profit, and we take that one and use it for the next set of 100. And then we repeat this process until we get a better one. With a genetic algorithm, there is no end. The point is always trying to seek the best. So once you make $100, why not $101? The next one, $102. Where can we go? What's the best model of making the most amount of profit? And since it has a never-ending, it's never-ending, we need to have a goal. We need to have something we can obtain, something that we're going towards. What is it specifically? Because it's infinite in potential, we need to be very specific and finite in what we're looking for. Because it may be searching if in this model, like Generation 53, that the method to obtain $100 billion would mean that we would have to sacrifice 100 million people to make that much money due to whatever the algorithm is or whatever the system or process it was to obtain that result. Maybe that model is something that we do not want. We don't want to sacrifice anybody to make profit. We don't want to harm anybody to make profit. So we need to be very specific in what the algorithm needs to be testing. We need to be specific about what the algorithm is going to be looking for. What tests are going to be had? Is the business model going to be in the food industry? Do we care about the food industry? What if we find that the food industry in 10 years, or whatever the business model is, finds that the food industry is going to make more money than the healthcare industry? Where do we want to spend our time, energy, and efforts? Personally, do I want to focus on research and development? That's going to be a more expensive model in the healthcare, but it might be a more profitable and innovative way to give more people more productive, profitable care, more productive and cheaper care, universal care in the healthcare world instead of going into the food industry. Food industry is a phenomenal one to do as well, but what is it that I specifically care about? What do I want to come about? So it's incredibly important that we get very specific. I didn't necessarily have all that information in my head. It's just being able to talk about it and repeat it and doing a little bit. It's one of those things that I'm able to say it over and over and over and over and over again, and I keep tweaking just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. Just keep tweaking what I am talking about while I'm saying it, and it's the same way with the genetic algorithm. You just have to keep testing and testing and testing and testing and testing, and you can just test all day and night. What is it that you want? And when you know what you want, it's easier to align the things that you want to have done. Because you can do 100 things today. If you were to write down on a piece of paper, this is a note from management, I have to go, I signed it and have to go send it back to them from my apartment. If you have 100, if you write on a piece of paper 100 things that you can do today, right next to it, what is the most important thing that I need to get done? And then you look over here with the 100 activities. Oh, it's actually number 97 right down the list. If I was to do it in order, the most important thing might not have been done. So I'm going to take that and put it right over here. Boom. That's my number one thing. And then I just keep going in order of, okay, ordering the 100 activities I could be doing today. Boom, move them over. I could even shorten the list down to 10 items. And you know what? And then ordering them in the order of precedence or magnitude. Which one's the most important thing to do now? What is the most important thing to do today that if I can't get it done, it will harm me? Or the most profitable thing that once I get it done, I can do other things. So once you have a list of importance, if you're only able to get through 3 out of the 10, isn't it really good that you did the most important things? You found what the most valuable track was to go down. You found the most valuable activities to be enacted, the most profitable results to come about. So again, when we're making profit in a business, we need to figure out what factors are important. When creating a program, we need to know what factors are important to us. Because we can spend all day coding and testing and shifting and modeling, but when we're able to have something very specific, we cut out a lot of the other things that do not have any relevance to it. And even when we start focusing on that one goal and idea, we might need to modify what we think is correct due to what is possible now. Maybe in a decade, what we thought was absolutely correct would have been absolutely correct 10 years from now, but we don't have the technology, nor may I have this, I may not even have the skills to being able to create what I want pitch perfect right here, right now. What about having a serum that cures everyone from everything? The ultimate magical serum. Right now, we don't have that, but in about 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, there may be a serum that does that, but we don't have it right now. So what are the building blocks? What are the stepping stones for us to get to what we can create now? Having that goal and objective in mind of in the future. But we're here right now, what can we create? If I can only create, if I can only modify a medicine that's available to the public, that is non-FDA, what is copyrighted, whatever that thing is, somebody has the legal right, the intellectual property to something. I don't know, I'm trying to think of what that word is. We need to be able to be very specific about where we're going. So that's the whole objective. So even though I might be general right here, what I said was absolutely correct, in my opinion. I might be incredibly wrong or too vague or something. But this is where I need to go. I need to start shifting and changing my objectives, my goals, my description, or I may be spot on with them right now. So today, my objective isn't to go out there and apply this magic formula to create a wonderful genetic algorithm. What I'm doing is I want to break down a little bit more of a genetic algorithm to understand it so I can apply it later. Not so I can want to apply it later, so I will be applying it later. What is an important factor of a genetic algorithm specifically that I can learn today? And I'm going to be doing the same thing for tomorrow. I may be done for the week on Wednesday, but I would love to come back on Thursday and do it again. I really would. Again, it's one of the reasons why I want to get a laptop, or I might even, I want to get a laptop. Because I want to be able to record and do this while I'm on the road and typey, but I guess I can do that with a tablet. I do have a tablet, but it's not really to the same degree as a laptop can, in my opinion. Excuse me, of what I want to be doing with it. Okay, so I'm going to go from top to bottom of this comment section right here. Again, comments within a code is the most important part of the code because it helps us as the user, regardless of whether or not it is your code specifically. A comment section will be able to give you the pseudocode, or in English or whatever language you speak, it'll help you understand what the code is doing. Because if I just said int pop max semicolon, that's a very simple thing in programming, but if I was to go down to population.generate and then parentheses, what is that saying? The comment section above that one line says create the next generation. It could be generate, randomize the next generation, but it's create the next generation. So having the comments, comments are phenomenal in a code. If you don't see them in a code, the code is kind of useless, because if you don't know what's going on, you're up creek without a paddle. So setup, the setup function is calling everything once before it starts calculating after that. So it's the baseline foundation of where all these values are going to be held before they start being used for other things. So step one is the population. Create an empty population, an array, or array list. Now I want to go into the setup function and look at what they have. The canvas size. I'm okay with doing redundancy, like, well, of course size with the parentheses x, y creates the canvas, but you know, it's okay to be more redundant with comments than with code. You want to minimize the amount of code you have, but having more comments is not that bad of a thing. You can swamp yourself in comments. You can always remove comments, but you can have too little amount of comments. You need to be able to, again, understand it. And even making it dummy proof, like what is size? What is that referencing? The canvas. Canvas size. F equals create font, the courier. What is courier? Where is that being create font? Now I'm curious, where does this line of code, it's not displayed anywhere, so I need to understand text font. Oh, okay. Courier, gotcha. Okay, so just like in a WordPad or something, this is the font type that he's going to be using for all the other ones. So he's literally, I think he can even just use this outside. He doesn't have to use this in a setup function. He could just use this outside of the setup function. So what I'm going to do here is font type for all phrases. You know, something easy like that. Something easy. Cut. Yeah, I want to make this. Yeah. Kind of the boring stuff. It's not boring, it is fun. I could start juggling, but it kind of defeats the purpose of both progressing with trying to entertain you with all my might. Try harder! Oh my gosh, that'd be funny. Target equals to be or not to be. Gotcha. Oh no, that was the original code that I commented out, and it is the phrase we are looking for. Brute force search. The brute force method in genetic algorithm, unlike us just continuously having an open-ended direction that it's just it's continuous. The brute force method is that we are looking for a very specific answer, and we're just trying to find the quickest path to it. Just consider it like a map. We know where our start point is, we know where our end point is, but there are certain factors like a fitness score. Are we trying to get to our goal in the shortest amount of time? Are we trying to get there with the least amount of checkpoints, like speed traps? Are we trying to get there with with open scenery through the city, shortest path, but regardless of whether or not the quickest time? Those factors matter. So the brute force method is our end goal. Having an end goal in genetic algorithms, while a genetic algorithm in general does not have one. So brute force search, to be or not to be. Yeah. So I'm going to and the reason that if you're looking at my program right now, Daniel Schiffman's program, but what I have typed in is the DC8 capital HMP complete space BOVK for book. The reason that it's messing up is I don't know. I do not know why it's messing up, but if I type in something smaller like this, about half of the amount of characters in this phrase, and click save and play, I always like to do save before I play, we'll be able to find it within about 225 generations. 15 times 15, so the square root of 225 is 15. That number I remember. So to be or not to be, I do not know why it is the way that it is. I don't understand why having such a long phrase like that, it immediately cuts out. What if I increase the population size, again, those random permutations that will happen within one generation before we try to look at the highest fitting number to use as the base for the next generation? What if I move that to 300 and then use this and then just literally doubled the size? Boom. Go BO-NIT to be. I don't get why it's only pausing at that point. See, what if I move it to 1500, make it times, the original was 150. What if I multiply it by 10 and making the population size to 1500? Save, play. Okay, so total generations or whatever. Again, there might be a maximum amount of searches it will look for before it has an end. That might be an objective I didn't really consider, that maybe there is not just a maximum of, because yesterday I was thinking that there might have been a maximum that wasn't intended. My question is what if there is a maximum that is intended to cut off the code if it can't search it within a set period of time? That is a phenomenal question. And going with iRobot, the doctor saying to whatever the main character's name is now that whatever his name is the right question. So, man, that's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do here is I want to type down below is what if the code has a designated endpoint to not calculate any more tests to reduce endless loops. So it doesn't. So the code might have a fixed end off, a cutoff. So it doesn't constantly just drain computer resources. Maybe it's just like, okay, we're not finding it within, let's just say, 1 billion calculations, or 100 million, or let's just go with 1 billion. 1 million. $1 million for 1 million calculations. If it doesn't find it within that amount of time, stop lurking, stop searching, stop looking for it. We're done, just cut it off. So whatever the best one is. That's a question I have. Now, how would I find that? The mutation rate is not it, the population. An array to hold the current population. So DNA, and this is the class DNA, that's what's happening right here. Class DNA, character genes, I'm assuming that this is a list or an array. What is character, C-H-A-R? Going to processing, typing it in. It's literally just defining genes as a type of character. Assigning M to value A, just declared. Okay, so let's see what I'm reading. Data type for characters, typographic. So, C-H-A-R, it's not, yeah, it's character. I go with character. So I didn't really understand what it actually was. So a data type for characters, typographic or typographic symbols such as capital A, lowercase d, and the dollar sign. A character, or ACHAR, stores letters and symbols in the Unicode format, a coding system developed to support a variety of world languages. Each character is 2 bits. 2 bytes, not 2 bits. 2 bits is a byte has 8 bits. 1 bit is a bit is the smallest unit within code. In length, and is distinguished by surrounding it with single quotes. Character escapes may also stored. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Character escapes may also be stored. They need to get somebody to edit this stuff. I might be open for that. May also be stored as a character. For example, the representation for the delete key is 127. The first time a variable is written, it must be declared with a statement expressing its data type. Subsequent uses for this variable must not reference the data type because processing will think the variable is being declared again. So character VAR and character VAR equals value. What does that mean? Okay. So it's referencing it's not a float, it's not an integer, it's not a string, but it is something of value. So is it saying that it's just anything? And it can it can be a float, it can be a string, it can be an integer? Is this what it is saying? And then you can only add and subtract. See, now that's a really good question. I mean, I want to know more about genetic algorithms, but I may not even know the basics to even get to that level. So this week might be a phenomenal introduction to genetic algorithms and maybe even understanding where my baseline skills and knowledge is. If I can't even understand what a character is within processing, I eventually want to move on to Python because Python is more of a universal language, but processing right now can give us some visuals that I think I would desperately need to have if I was doing Python. I want to eventually move on to Python. I think within a year, moving on to Python will be the best thing for me. But for right now, processing, maybe even becoming just a processing aficionado, maybe even developing and contributing to processing, maybe even creating my own language and the very simple things that must be done. But again, there's a lot of updates and you have to have a lot of support. Getting the fan contribution, there's a lot of updates that need to happen and creating libraries and such. Again, there's a lot of work. It's just which one do I feel is most important. And right now, I want to create the goal that I have set in my mind that I've wanted for more than half a decade. So what is character again? And right here, it's creating a list, an array. I believe that's correct. I think that's correct. With this array, again, genes I, an array of values. So is it literally just saying that? So if you're creating an array, do you use the data type character, char? Hmm. Excuse me. Array list with the less than sign and greater than sign with DNA right in the middle. What is that representing? Yeah, again, this is also an array. So population here. So is population holding all the prior generations? My question is, I think. Oh. Let me write this down. Let me type it out because I think this is mind-boggling if it's true. Does each array have a maximum value it can hold? Meaning, again, to repeat that question again, does each array have a maximum value it can hold? Why do I ask that? I think there is only one array list being generated to hold all the generations, all the populations within each generation. The total population is 1,500. There's a total generations of 34. I need to test this a few times before I'm like, well, maybe it's profound if it is true, and if not, because now I have something. If that's true, all I have to do to fix my original question of is there a cap? If this is true, yes, there is a cap. All I have to do is just add another one. That there is no set limit being told to the code. It's just that the code itself might have an inherent nature of having a maximum of what an array can hold. So I'm going to go 34 times 1,500, 51,000. Maybe it only goes up to 50,000, or maybe it's a little bit less than 51,000, but let's find out if this is correct. And I'm going to move this down to not 100, I want to move this up to 3,000. Save and play. If this is true, 34 should go down to 17 generations. It should. 18 generations. Let's try it again. What? 21. Okay, so there isn't a maximum, it seems. Oh, 20, 21, 20. 20. 29. 4. Okay. No, it's... You see, now that even brings up another question. I thought that was true. I failed. It's important to understand, okay, I now failed. What's the new thing? Oh, and that's mind-boggling. It's like, man, I got really emotionally involved in that one question. Like, dang it. I thought that would be true. It's not true, so let's move on. The question I have now... is, what if I move this up to 15,000? Save and play. Is it going to go to like 5? 14? Uh-oh. No way! It's broken! Is it broken? Okay, I think I know what's going on here. The calculation might get to a set point and everything might start saying broken or whatever. This is what I think is happening. The phrase to be or not to be immediately, maybe, got glitched out here. And then it printed maybe the number 1 code. But the issue is that it may not have registered in this is the first time that I've actually seen the processing code glitch itself, that I actually literally broke the code. And in which it goes back to one of those questions of, a question I had yesterday is, what if instead of focusing on becoming a better programmer, I focus on becoming a better hacker? Which means just to stress test the system. Which, again, I'll even put that as a note. Just stress testing systems and explaining to understanding them and creating my own. So that's a question that I have. That's something that I'd love to explore more of. But I think the statement was that the phrase "to be or not to be," and then the phrase we're looking for is "to be or not to be," and again "to be or not to be." I doubled the amount of characters, so it's a double long sentence. It's 2 sentences. I think it already originally found that best thing, but it didn't register that it should stop. So let me play it again. Else, I think there's too much. There's such a large population size that it's not able to register anything larger than that. So let me go to 10,000 rather than 15,000. Play. And it stops. Okay, so there is a point somewhere. 12,500, 13,500, 14,500, 15,000? Was it just one glitch or what? See, now it's fixing the solution. So what if I remove half the characters? Save and play. 12 generations. 30,000. I really do think it got locked into a glitch not being able to understand what has happened. So, okay. I'll go with that. It might have just glitched out for a moment, not reading it at one point. That's the first time I've ever seen processing actually glitch out, not reading what the code says. That was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I hacked the system. That was more exciting. You see, it's one of those, I wanted to be a better programmer. I might want to do some hacking. And it's not hacking for the sake of being malicious with it, just trying to break the system. It's like, you know what, you give me this infrastructure, I'll try to find a way to not make it good. So, or stress testing it for like computer games or games in general or something, just trying to, in Fallout 76, there are two places that one you can see to this, that you can see below the floor, and you can see that there's nothing below it. One is in a mining cave. The second one, you can actually go through a farming field, and you get to see all the mountains. Your whole body goes in it. It's like a slump. It's not registering that you're supposed to go over. It's registering the opposite way, that you're going below. And you get to see everything. You get to almost see the entire Fallout 76 map. It is quite amazing. It's scary as hell, because you go through that, and you're like, there's nothing below you, so it feels like you're falling. But that's pretty cool. So, population size, let's go with that. Again, comment sections are awesome. So population size is going to be 30,000. I'm going to move that back down to 1,500. 15,000 might even work, but 150. I did say 1,500. See, that's a lot of generations. There's no need to have that many generations. Yeah, I'm going to move that up to 1,500. Again, one of the reasons why I like to have a larger population size is that total generations. It actually saved a bunch of time, but I like to have as many possible random mutations, as many tests as possible, so we can get the best footing for each subsequent generation thereafter, or each and every single processional generation thereafter. I want to get the most amount of errors out of the way. Okay? So if there are only 1,500 possibilities, if I tested 1,500 times, it doesn't mean that I will get 1,500 unique tests, but I'll get 1,500 tests, which is a closer. It is closer to the actual answer than just saying 150. You get 450-ish generations. It can even go back to 220. You remove a lot of randomness when you test a bunch more times. So if you want to remove the amount of randomness, test it more often before you take the correct answer. So If you are not liking how your food is being received by your peers or by your customers, test it not twice or 3 times, test it about 100 times with people you may not know. Go out and try and give free samples to 50 different people, not just 1 or 2, 50. And then you'll start to narrow down to what the correct answer is. Testing is the best thing for people, for success. Test, 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 test. So I'm going to go with 1,500. That'll be the population size. The mutation rate is that's a given. So create a population with the target phrase, mutation rate, and population max, and population size. I don't need to know what population max, it's population size. Okay, pop size. Why is it pop max? Because there's no maximum or minimum. It doesn't take the maximum of 2 numbers. It's literally just the set number of the population. I would love to go through the code and change that one particular thing. Again, little tiny, small, seemingly insignificant actions done over time produce the results in your life. So, I want to change pop max to something better. So what I want to do is, I'm going to do find, I'm going to do pop max. I want to replace that with pop size. And wouldn't I do POP capital SIZE, or would I... Yeah, he has mutation rate. Yeah. Yeah, text size. I got this like itch or something. I don't know, you're just going to have to accept that. Messing with my nose for a while. Oh man, I apologize for that. So I want to do it with capital S, POP capital SIZE, but that looks weird. I want to do, I can always move it back if I pop size, like capsized, okay. I know, I'm amazing. I'm going to do replace all. Okay, I'm going to go to DNA, I'm going to do replace all, here, replace all, save, and play. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and just going to make certain. Pop size, good. Population size. Yeah, I could even do pop, P-O-P, but pop size, pop max, that just sounds, it even looks weirder, it looks weirder now, but it makes more sense intellectually. But it was more comfortable feeling because it probably was the original one, and changing things for the sake of change is not necessarily good. There's no reason to change something if it's not broken. That's important. But it does flow a lot better to fix now here's the good thing, I'm not fixing the logic. I'm not changing the logic. I'm just changing the variable name. I might have to change the variable name back. I've done that a few times with other code, because it interfered with the names and sounds, maybe confusing one variable with another. Instead of using population, I might need to use population x1, or x1 population, 1x population, rather than just using the word population. See, it's starting to kind of get confusing because it just mixes it up, going back and forth so quickly. I understand. With the draw, void draw, generate, okay, so we're generating a mating pool. Here's the question that I have. Create a population with a target phrase, mutation rate, and population size. So what I want to do, there's 2 things that I want to figure out. I'd like to, or at least discover, not recover, familiarize myself by the end of this one section, because I am, again, 1 hour, getting used to this, doing something that's a little bit different, pushing the boundaries of what I'm of getting used to. So it's always nice to push those boundaries. So, what is natural selection, or the mating pool activity? He does go in description, Daniel Schiffman, in his Coding Train video 9.4 to 9.6. It's in that series of genetic algorithms. And this one, I'd like to know what mating pool is. The natural selection. Oh, excuse me. What's that PB&J that I ate? With banana. Okay. don't think it's in the DNA. Population.natural selection. Natural selection is a function of population. Population, the variable with a lowercase p, has its data type as a capital P population, and capital P population is a class, a data type class. So this population is operating under with every single one of these functions. If I do population with if I give a variable a class name that has a bunch of functions in it, then it's adopting all those functions. So it's this variable name, and anytime I want to call a function, I use a dot. So variable dot, again, because it has its data type as a class that holds a bunch of functions, data type dot, hopefully I'm doing this correctly, maybe I need to do it the other way, data type, variable with the data type of a bunch of functions, dot whatever that function is, and it calls that function. It holds the function, but it's not calling the function. So how we call the function of a given class type is by using the period character. So, okay, hopefully I understood that, because hopefully that made sense to you, because I went through a whirlpool of emotions trying to explain that. This needs to be filled with liquor, or candy licorice, some melted candy licorice. Room temperature candy licorice with a little umbrella on top of it, with a little bit of lemon. That would be delicious. Also, I'd probably pass out because of how sweet and rich it would be. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so much sugar. Okay, so it's calling which function? Which function is it calling? It was natural selection. So get generations, get average fitness, all phrases, get best, generate, natural selection. So it is calling this section right here. It is calling a mating pool. When I was describing genetic algorithms, that was describing a very general understanding of what a genetic algorithm is. We use maybe the original one of the prior, and the second highest of the current one or the next one, and then we're mutating, and then we're creating children ideas. I don't like using genetics actually, because if you want to use racial superiority or something like that, it's like I'm okay with that discussion, but that's not part of what I don't like it. I like ideas a lot better, because when you start modifying and shifting those things, then I just like it better. I like it a lot better. No, I kind of chipped my tooth right there. I need to replace my teeth by shifting it, because the bottom jaw is shifted to the left, like a millimeter or something. But 1 millimeter, yeah, I want to like shift everything that way just a little bit. Okay. Clear the array list. Okay, so natural selection is that when we call natural selection in the setup function, in the draw function. So every time draw is constantly looping itself. So anything inside of the void draw function in processing will constantly loop itself. So after draw goes all the way down through its calculation, immediately it will go all the way back up and start calculating it again, going all the way back up, calculating it again. So at the first thing that we do is remove the mating pool that we created. That's important with genetic algorithms. So clear the array list that we are using, which is important. You want before we start our calculations, clear all the things. We don't want to clear it at the end of the calculations. We want to clear it before we use it, because after we're done, we don't want to immediately then clear it, then calling a value that has already been cleared. We want to do all our calculations in procession. And then after all of the calculations of not just natural selection, but get best, finished, get average fitness, all these things, we want to do all of that before we do anything else. We want to, we can even just, yeah, if I understand correctly, I think I explained it correctly. I think I explained it appropriately. Hopefully I did. Whew. Okay. So, clear the array list. Float max fitness. Why is the max fitness a 0? Is this resetting? I'm going to go with question. Resetting max fitness. Okay, apparently somebody's doing work. For I and t, I equals 0. Population.length. So population.length. Oh, okay. So is it that population is holding an array list of the values, maybe we could call it generations rather than population, where each generation holds a set amount of holds a set population size. Each of those population values are maybe being added to population's array list. I'm not so certain, but I think that is correct because the fitness score, max fitness, is being set to the population size or vice versa. Okay, so population.fitness, fitness is a function. It is a function within the population class that we're in. Generate, get best, finished, get generations, all phrases. Oh, where's fitness? Here's control find. Control F for find. No, dang it. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. Because the reason that I freaked out for a second is because within the find command, I had something in the replace with the pop size, so that freaked me out for a second. Okay, good. Okay, I freaked out for a second. I thought I replaced some code that if I started. Okay, no, no. Okay. Whew, freaked me out for a second. So it's really good to take the time now to fix your mistakes rather than just saying, oh, posh, and then coming back a day or two later realizing what's going on. A simple, easy mistake that you could have fixed back then is now a big, gigantic heap of crap right in front of you. So, again, if you want to remove all the issues in your life, start them now. Oh, I don't want to take out the trash. And then the trash builds up, and then it's a bigger issue than it should have been if you just went out and took the trash that one time that you thought you should take the trash. You probably should have vacuumed, but then now it's a week or two later and you realize, it's really dirty in here. Well, it would have been kind of okay if you vacuumed that one time a week or two ago. Just little tiny things like that. So, again, I'm really glad that I fixed a mess up that I thought was wrong. Because I might... In trading specifically, there is a major issue that is hard to recognize until it is too late. You can do the wrong actions and be rewarded for it. And that's not even just with trading, but in general. You can do the wrong actions and be rewarded for it. And then down the line, you continue doing the actions you were rewarded for doing. So now in your mind, you might not have any idea or clue why all of that you're doing should be working, but it's not. You might have done everything correct back then, but you might be doing the same activities that are inappropriate for the time you're doing it. So one of the major issues with anybody who fails at trading is that there is a common theme that you are making money, you're making bank, you are winning, you're winning. You could think of this as poker, you could think of this as gambling. Again, gambling in those at a horse race or something. You could just pick a horse, you could just go to a card table, place your bet, not have any idea what the cards are saying, what the cards mean. The cards that may be under each and every single person's hand. And then you place a bet and you win. You place a bet, you win. Place a bet, you lose. but you keep winning more than you're losing. And you just keep going down that road, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. Then, the next time that you come back the next day, you do the exact same activities, and then you keep going, and you're frustrated why you're losing, do the exact same thing that you won the day before, and you keep putting it down. Not because you're intellectual. Most people think that I will think myself to success. I have been one of those people. And if I can say to somebody who believes that I know it all, I will say you need to change that piss poor attitude. Because it's not about intellectual. Again, if college, if intellectual prowess meant that you would be successful, then 95% of people who went to college would be more of a success than they actually are, rather than storing a lot of debt and then going back to a minimum wage job. The reason that people think that college is successful is because they have this mental image of what life should be rather than how life is. And when they apply what life should be rather than how life is, there is a misstep and they start getting failure. And then, instead of blaming their own selves of maybe the mental image they have upon the world is wrong, they say the world is wrong. The society is wrong. Society should be this way. Well, I did this within society and I got this result. My idea was pure good and just. Everyone's else was less than mine or wasn't mine, so there was a conflict, so it's society's fault. I go to work does a certain thing to me, well, I have a certain image about what work should be, well, because I got a certain result that wasn't what I expected, well, it's the work's fault that I got that, rather than, okay, here's where work is, here's what work did, and, oh, I want work to be this thing. Rather than going out and trying to make that thing, they're just projecting the current activity, and then whatever result they get from the thing they have that mental image projected at, like let's go with a relationship. You have a phenomenal relationship that you cannot believe exists. You realize a week later that the person you thought was amazing is an absolute crazy person or dull, lazy guy or woman or something. It's someone you did not expect to be. But you keep thinking that they're good. You keep thinking like, no, that what they're doing right now might be annoying, but you know what? I love them more because of these other qualities they may have. You realize a week or two later, okay, maybe not that, but how about this? Maybe not that, but how about this? And you keep holding on to the idea of the person being a certain way that you enjoy. Or a politician. Or somebody in business, someone with whom you might look up to, a friend, a family member. You believe and love them or hate them to be a certain way. They're not meeting your expectations, it must be their fault. That's one of the reasons that most people fail. It's not political, it's not society, it's not capitalism nor socialism, it's you. Why do I say that? Because it is a human behavior. It's an activity that you're doing that gets the results in your life. If you want to change, you change. If you change, and everything else will change for you. If you start changing the way that you look at the world, then the world that you've been looking at will change. If you look at the world through a one lens, and then you start receiving results due to the lens that you're looking at, what if you change the lens at which you're looking at? If everything's happy and hunky-dory, if you change it to being pissed off and angry, well, you're going to start getting those results. Vice versa. If you're angry at the world, what if you just put on a rose-colored lens? It doesn't mean that those things that in the world will stop, the things that you were angry at will stop existing, but it will change how you act to the results that you have received. Somebody says, I love you. If there is a guy if there's a woman that's walking down the streets in I wouldn't say inappropriate dress, but very revealing dress, more than the average woman. And there's a guy that looks over and says, wow, you look amazing. A woman can look at that in one of two primary ways. Or three. Third one, you can ignore the guy. But either A, wow, thank you for acknowledging how beautiful I am. And I didn't even say anything about bust size, hip ratios, whatever. Just more skin is showing than normal. A man says, hello, wow, you look amazing. One could look at that and say, "Thank you very much for helping me look. Like, thank you. I worked hard on this. Like, this look was intentional. Thank you," and take that as a compliment. Versus the same guy, the same dress, the same walk, the same location, the same time of day. Another woman comes with a similar, if not the same body, comes walking down the same route, and the same guy who complimented that one woman with how she looked, this man now compliments this new woman, and the woman goes off on him, and how dare you be so patriarchal, how dare you judge me for just my body, objectifying me or something. One woman looks at it as a compliment as being a good thing. The second one is looking at a compliment as a bad thing. Now, there are men that may say the wrong thing, but you can change how those things are being said to you. And if you want to bring up that, I don't mean to really make it political or anything, because I could say a few things about that. It's not part of this channel, but when you change the way that you see the world, it's hard. It's hard to look at it. It's hard to have it. Certain actions come about it naturally. You promote certain activities with you to happen because of that. If you like a movie, regardless of whether or not it's objectively a good movie, you're going to start finding all the good things in it when you recall it in your mind. Oh yeah, I love that movie. I have a certain feeling about it. There's a certain associated, not intellect, but mind that's going to be activated to support the certain feeling I have associated to the movie. So I'm going to start recalling all the things that I enjoyed with the rose-colored lens that I had, etc. I think that's a really good way of ending it off, is that I'm glad that let me go back to the very beginning. Not the very, very beginning. The reason I started going down this rabbit trail was I was fixing an issue, which I may not later. I was fixing an issue that I did not make, which is important, because if I made the error, and if I didn't make the error, and I thought I made an issue, but there was no issue that happened, and I ignored trying to fix it, later down the line, and there's no error that comes about, that activity wasn't punished. Meaning that I was supported in ignoring errors that I make. Because if I continue to ignore errors that I make within lines of code, within lines of programming, think of it like a space shuttle. I made an error here. It's okay to ignore it. No, it's not. You have to go back and do it. Correct. I didn't do this within business. I gave this person too much money. Or I gave this person not enough of change. I gave too little change to this customer, or this person overpaid. You know what I need to do? If I ignore it, I have more money. But later down the route, later down the timeline, if you continue with that process, you may go out of business because you keep overcharging people rather than just a simple mistake. Mistakes happen. But if you constantly allow a bad thing to happen and you just become oblivious to it, which is one of the reasons that The Last Jedi and Game of Thrones failed, because they have become so complacent to the activities that made those things amazing. Game of Thrones, it took 10 years, 9 to 10 years for them to have such an amazing start, and then nothing really, they just wanted to move on. They didn't really care. It's just, we'll make something and everybody will love it. No, but half of their fan base said it was horrible. And then, it's the Game of Thrones fans that's the fault, the reason that we're not successful. Rather than looking at themselves and blaming their own actions for what they've produced, or even taking the time to listen to the criticisms and saying, you know what, you're correct, let's remake Games of Thrones Season 8. Just doing that activity will make Game of Thrones and whatever they start producing after that a much more respectable thing. Because they're thinking about short term. It'll take more time and money, and we won't deal with that. Rather than, in 10 years, we might not want to ever have anything to do with you as a producer and not watch any of your material that you create. So again, short term, long term, where are you going with that? The actions that you take produce the results in your life. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. That helps the algorithm. Thank you, YouTube. If you will, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you will, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button because that would greatly help this channel out. And while you enjoy the rest of your day, I will be seeing you next time.